Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Espionage as Orson Welles, The Lives of Harry Lime, the prequel to the Third Man motion picture. This episode from September 7th, 1951, deals with a diamond as big as a duck's egg, the Bohemian Star.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Kara.
That was the shot that killed Harry Lime. He died in a sewer beneath Vienna. As those of you know who saw the movie The Third Man. Yes, that was the end of Harry Lime. But it was not the beginning. Harry Lime had many lives. And I can recount all of them. How do I know? It's very simple. Because my name is Harry Lime. A diamond as big as a hen's egg. Change that to a duck's egg. And I held it right here in my hand. Not that I had any idea of keeping it, you understand. I was merely recovering it to return it to its rightful owner. Do I hear hollow laughter? All right. You don't have to take my word for it. Ask Scotland Yard. Get them to show you the files. What do you think I am? A crook?
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the Third Man, in The Bohemian Star.
London, 1938. One of those quaint old English pubs, you know, with cubicles around the walls. Seated together, a boy and a girl. Not hard to look at either, the girl. Peaches and cream, that wonderful English type. In the next cubicle, a handsome, distinguished-looking American, Harry Lime. Me. Not eavesdropping, of course, just interested. In a casual sort of way.
You mean to say you have to work?
Yeah.
But you promised to take me to the picture.
I'm sorry, dear. I didn't know this was going to turn up.
Look, Terry, if it's just that you're broke as usual and can't afford a cinema, let's walk in Hyde Park or feed the pigeons in Trafalgar Square or something. There's no need to spoil our evening altogether.
No, it's not that, Pat. Honestly, I have got a job. The news editor wished it on me just as I was leaving.
What do you have to do?
It's an interview. Some South American Johnny called Senor Alvarez. I've got an appointment with him at the Hotel Splendid at 8:30.
What is it you have to see him about?
Well, ever heard of Bockanovia?
One of those little Balkan states.
That's right. Well, 3 years ago, there was a revolution, and the monarchy was deposed, and what's ironically known as a People's Republic took its place. On the last plane out, some of the royal family escaped to London with the crown jewels, and they've been here in the safe deposit ever since.
What, the royal family?
Oh, fathead, no, the jewels. Incidentally, the pièce de résistance, as they say, is the Bohemian Star.
Oh, I thought that was an opera.
Look, the Bohemian Star is the centerpiece of the scepter. A huge single diamond almost as big as the Cullinan.
Makes my engagement ring look a bit silly, doesn't it? I always had a suspicion you were getting me on the cheap.
Well, I like cheap. Why, that cost me a week's salary at Hatton Garden.
Well, you better demand an increase at once, darling. Anyway, what does Senor What's-His-Name fit into all this?
Senor Alvarez is a leading jeweler of Buenos Aires. It seems the National Museum of the Argentine wants a replica of the Boccanovian crown jewels for an exhibition of some sort. And so the Senor's been sent to take photographs, sketches, measurements and so on. When he gets home, he'll reproduce the whole collection in paste.
Well, it sounds awfully dull to me. And for that, I have to miss Don Amici.
Well, who cares about him? I have to miss Betty Grable.
There's no justice in the world. Can't you get out of it somehow?
No, I'm sorry, darling. Not a chance.
I've always had an interest in jewels, purely academic, of course, particularly diamonds, particularly big diamonds. My night was free. I was feeling in a benevolent mood, so I did what anyone might have done. Hey, excuse me. I hope you'll forgive my rudeness, but I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. I thought maybe I could help you out if you'd let me.
Oh?
Perhaps I'd better introduce myself first. My name's Paul Atkinson.
Paul Atkinson? Not the Paul Atkinson of American Associated Press.
Well, I do an occasional stint for the AAP.
Oh, gosh, I read your articles every week. I'm Terry Freeman of the Clarion.
Glad to know you, Terry.
This is my fiancée, Miss Pat Weston.
Hello, Pat.
How do you do?
Look, won't you sit down?
Oh, thanks. This interview you have to do is sort of spoiling your evening together. I understand.
Oh, just one of those things, you
There's
know.
nothing we can do about it, I'm afraid.
When do you have to turn your copy in?
10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
10? I'll do better than that. I'll deliver it personally to you at 9 on the dot. Guaranteed.
Oh, I don't follow.
Well, you two kids go off to your movie. I'll interview this guy, Alvarez, and write your story for you.
Yes, but...
Why should you do a thing like that?
Well, why not? I haven't any girlfriends to take out. Pretty poor newspaper man who won't help a colleague when the chance turns up.
Oh, it's kind of you, but I couldn't dream of imposing on you like that, Mr. Atkinson.
Well, for the record, my friends call me Paul.
Oh.
I assure you it's no imposition. Of course, if you're scared, I won't turn in a story up to standard.
Oh, gosh, look, it's not that. Why, you couldn't write a bad story if you tried, but look, what would my editor say if he found out?
Who's going to tell him? You, or me, or Pat here? Of course, there's another way out.
Oh, what's that?
You go off to your interview, and I'll take Pat to the movies.
Thanks. I wouldn't trust even a newspaper man as far as that.
Okay, then. The Splendid, then. 8:30?
Yes? Look, all the
Forget
same,
it, Terry, old man. I'm not doing you a good turn. You're doing one for me. On the dot of 8:30, I pressed the bell to Suite C, 3rd floor, Hotel Splendid. I hadn't figured out any plan of campaign, you understand. This was just a sort of preliminary survey. Smooth South American type introduced himself as Alvarez and invited me in. We drank each other's health, and then we settled down to business.
I am not very accustomed to be interviewed, Senor Freeman. What is the procedure?
Oh, it's easy. It's easy. I ask the questions, and you answer them.
I will do my best.
Well, now, your job is to work out the precise measurements, as I understand it, of the jewels and their settings, so you can make exact replicas for the museum. Is that right?
Partly. But you understand it is much more than a matter of mere measurement.
Oh, yes, I guess it must be.
There is the color of the various jewels, for instance, and some of the settings are of extremely intricate filigree.
Tell me, senor, how did you fix it to gain access to the jewels?
It was necessary for me to make formal application to the Bohemian Royal Court in Exile.
And you found them cooperative?
Well, naturally, one does not expect these favors for nothing.
Oh, yes.
There will be a certain, how shall I put it, financial adjustment.
Yes, I see. Well, how long do you figure the job will take you?
I hope to complete it in a month.
How long have you been on it now?
Just a week.
What's the routine?
The routine?
Well, I dare say there's an armed guard and so on.
Oh, but of course, that is inevitable. The Bohemian Star alone is worth £500,000.
Yes, that's $2 million. Who provides this guard?
The insurance company. There is a room at the safe deposit. And each morning, the item I require is taken in there, and I work on it.
Under observation?
Yes. There are 2 detectives who never take their eyes off me or my secretary.
So you have a secretary, too?
Yes, Manuel Arizza. He should be here soon, so perhaps you will meet him.
That's fine. Now, tell me, senor, could it be arranged for me to come along one day and watch you actually at work?
I cannot say as to that.
Make a much better story, you know.
Perhaps so. But it would be a matter for the Bockanovia authorities.
Okay. I'll put in an application tomorrow. Will you support it?
Naturally.
Fine, that's settled then. And now I guess...
that must be my secretary now. I am in here, Manuel.
Good, everything is fixed, Pedro. That very obliging gentleman, Senor Meyerson, has finished the paste copy of the Bohemian Star, and I have it with me now. Regard it, my friend, is it not that?
Manuel.
Tomorrow, when the right moment comes, I will distract the attention of the detectives, and you will remove the real jewel and slip this one in its place.
Manuel, we have company.
You fool, to talk like that. But how was I to know? Who is this man? One of Meyerson's?
This is a gentleman named Freeman, a reporter from the Evening Clarion.
A reporter?
Well, thanks very much for the interview, senor. Now, if you don't mind, I think
What is your hurry?
Well, I have to go on back to the office.
You can wait a little while. Let me pour you a drink.
Oh, no, thanks very much, Roman.
I think
Sorry, I can't stay.
I think you'd better, senor. This gun is loaded.
Well, oh. What's the big idea?
You do not think we could let you go after what you heard, eh?
Oh, now, wait a minute. I'm not the sort of guy who goes around shooting off his mouth. I can keep quiet.
It is my intention to see you do keep quiet.
Oh, it is?
There are ways.
Well, how?
Such as we could kill you.
Yes. I suppose you could, but you won't.
What makes you so sure?
Well, these walls aren't very soundproof. The shot would be heard.
I have a knife.
Okay, you could kill me with your little knife. And then what?
How do you mean?
Having an odd body lying about the place, that proved to be a little embarrassing, don't you think? You could never conceal one in here. You couldn't risk getting it out without being caught.
There would be certain difficulties, I admit.
So it looks as though you'll have to trust me after all. Doesn't it? Good night, gentlemen.
One moment, senor. There are other ways.
Oh? What, for instance?
Well, this.
What?
Manuel, I have told you before, I detest violence.
That should keep him quiet for a little while. You know, I've been thinking, why should a reporter on an English newspaper be an American?
I dare say it does happen.
Yes, perhaps so, but you must admit it is unusual.
What are you looking for in his pockets?
Papers. A letter. There, what did I tell you? It is addressed to Harry Lime.
Harry Lime?
But you know the
But
name?
of course. So does every police department in the world.
You mean?
I mean that compared with him, we are amateurs.
So that's it,
We must do something, Manuel.
I know. I will drive the car to the back entrance, and we will take him down the back stairs.
Like he is now?
Why not?
We will be seen.
We will say he's drunk. Then we'll drive him into the country and dispose of him. As he himself would say, take him for a ride.
Don't be foolish. There will be no killing.
But surely...
We are jewel thieves, not murderers. A man like Lime would have powerful friends who would stop at nothing to get even with us. Besides, this is England.
What is that to do with it?
There is an institution here known as Scotland Yard. Extremely efficient, I understand. I have no wish to die with a rope around my neck, even if you have.
Very well. You make a better suggestion.
All right. We steal the Bohemian Star tomorrow, right?
Right.
Tomorrow evening we catch a plane, and next morning we are in New York, where we have many good friends who will look after us, right?
Right.
And then it is quite simple. All we have to do is to keep our friends here quiet for a day and a half. And after that, it will not matter how much he talks.
Yes, and how are we going to do that?
That is up to Senor Meyerson. He must find us a quiet place somewhere and a reliable man to see that Senor Lime does not escape till we are clear. I will telephone him now.
Aha. You are waking up, senor, eh? We are going to take a little journey soon, but I do not think it wise you should appear in public like this. Do you? That's better. Pleasant dreams, senor.
September 7th, 1951, Orson Welles and the Lives of Harry Lime, the Third Man, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining Medishare right now. Medishare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medishare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And Medishare is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
While we've become well aware of sequels, Probably one of the first prequels in radio history was The Lives of Harry Lime. It documented events ahead of the motion picture The Third Man, which had already been released, primarily because Orson Welles' character Harry Lime in that picture was killed. So let's get back to The Lives of Harry Lime. September 7th, 1951.
It was early morning when I finally came to. My jaw ached where Horitz had clipped me, and I had the great granddaddy of a hangover. Ooh. I lay still for a while, and then took a sort of tentative look around. The room I was in was small, had a sort of shut-in feeling. Then I saw something else. A man. One of the biggest, toughest, ugliest characters I'd ever clapped eyes on. Though, in a way, he looked sort of nice ugly, if you know what I mean. Not the mean type. He stood up when he realized I was awake, and as soon as he spoke, I knew I was right about it.
What's it, chum? Have a good sleep?
Well, you ought to know.
Been slumbering like an innocent babe, you have. Here, how'd you feel?
Well, like something the cat dragged in. There wouldn't be any coffee on that stove, would there?
No. But I can fix you up with a nice cup of tea. The kettle will be boiling in a minute.
Oh, that's fine. Say, what's your name?
Charlie.
Mine's Harry.
Pleased to meet you, Harry, I'm sure.
Charlie, old man, where are we?
Uh-huh. That'd be telling.
How'd I get here?
Sorry, chum. I ain't allowed to give no information. Strict instructions.
I understand. How's that tea coming along?
Won't be off a tick now.
I slept again afterwards. It was going on for midday when I woke. Charlie had some food ready. After we'd eaten, he suggested a game of cribbage to pass the time. I disapprove of gambling, except maybe poker for real stakes with a few aces up my sleeve. But my only hope was to cultivate Charlie. And thank goodness he was no hothouse flower. So we settled down to play. After about an hour, I judged the time for action was right.
15-2, 15-4, a pair 6, and one for his knob 7. Puts me out. That's a sprat you owe me.
A sprat?
Yeah, a tanner. 6pence.
Oh, here you are.
So, your deal.
Oh, sure. Look what I've done. Spilled them all over the floor.
That's all right, chum. I'll pick 'em up.
Thank you, Charlie.
Oh,
Thank you. One more for luck. Sorry, Charlie, old man. You're a nice guy. I tore up a sheet and bound and gagged Charlie. He had some keys in the pocket. I let myself out. My guess had been right. I was somewhere in the East End. I walked till I found a main road and then called a cab.
Where to, Governor?
Hotel Splendide, and I'll double your fare if you get me there in 15 minutes.
Right, hang on.
There was only one way to tackle this job, the bold approach. At the Splendide, I went straight over to the desk and asked for Senor Alvarez.
I'm sorry, sir. He's not in at present.
Well, how about his secretary?
Well, he's not in either, sir.
They haven't checked out, have they? They're still staying here.
They leave by plane for New York this evening, I understand, sir. Is there any message?
No, thanks. That's okay. So they hadn't made the snatch yet. I had no idea where the safe deposit was, so all I could do was wait. Found a spot where I could keep out of sight and watch the elevators at the same time. An hour passed. An hour and a half. And then, there they were. Their elevators started to rise. I took the stairs 3 at a time. I reached the 3rd floor just as the door of their suite was closing behind them. I wanted that Bohemian Star. Nothing greedy, you understand, but now or never. Gun in hand, I pressed the bell.
You!
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I wouldn't reach for a gun if I were you, nor you, Oritza. Unless you've a wish to commit suicide, just keep your hands up. Well up. That's much more sensible.
How did you get here?
I got here by cab, if it's of any particular
But, senor,
interest. Oh, Charlie. Don't worry about him. He'll get over it. Come on, let's go into the sitting room, have a nice, cozy talk. After you, senor. And you. It's more like it. All right, chums. The Rock.
The Rock?
Diamond, the Bohemian Star.
But you're mistaken, senor.
Oh.
We have not got it, have we, Manuel?
Oh, no, there must be some misunderstanding.
The only misunderstanding there's been so far was in you fellas mistaking me for a sucker. Step over here towards me, Oritza.
What, me, senor?
Come on, do as you're told. Now turn your back. Keep those hands well up. Nice, efficient little piece of ironmongery you've got. I'll have that, if you don't mind. Look, but no doubt. Okay, you're next, Alvarez.
But I assure you,
Turn around.
senor, I give you my word of honor.
And what's this? Your word of honor? Quite a hunk of stone, isn't it? You won't mind if I take charge of this, I'm sure.
Senor, let us talk.
What more is there to say?
We made a mistake, Manuel and I.
But resolving that mistake will have to wait until after these words from your favorite station, The Lives of Harry Lime, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? We can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents or having to waste time showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your house to foreclosure. If you have equity in your home, we'll buy your home and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call now before your situation gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just need anymore and get the cash you need today. Call this number now.
800-477-4612. 800-477-4612. 800-477-4612. That's 800-477-4612. Paid for by Want to Sell.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Lives of Harry Lime, the Third Man, and the Bohemian Star, September 7th, 1951.
We admit.
Considering I have the stone in this gun, that seems rather obvious, don't you think?
What I mean is that we made a mistake when we met last night, not inviting you to join us in this enterprise.
Oh, what gives you the idea that I might have joined you in this?
Harry Lime, are you not? Correct me if I'm wrong, but surely our object in this case has been the same. To obtain the Bohemian Star.
Our object, maybe, but not our purpose.
You speak in riddles, senor.
Oh, no, not at all, old man. You stole this jewel for your own enrichment. I've taken it from you now to return it to its rightful owner.
Its rightful owner?
You will pardon us if we smile, senor.
You don't believe me? Okay, sit down, gentlemen. I have a little telephoning to do. Hello? Operator, get me Whitehall, 1212.
That's Scotland Yard.
Sure, it's
you do not
Scotland
mean that you are
Please,
going to telephone.
senor, put down that telephone before it is too late, eh? Let us make a bar.
Hello? Hello, is that Scotland Yard?
It's all right, Mr. Lime. You needn't bother with that call.
Now, what's the idea? Who are you guys?
I'm Detective Inspector Marsh, and this is my assistant, Sergeant Andrews.
Well, not so fast. How do I know you two are on the level?
Oh, here's my warrant card.
I'm glad to know you, Inspector. Yes, this all seems in order. Sorry I sounded suspicious, but, you might have been a couple of crooks, too.
Of course, the point hadn't occurred to me.
This is an outrage.
You have made a great mistake, senor.
Well, we'll thrash that out at the yard later. Take him away, Sergeant. Yes, sir. Come on, you.
Well, I'm certainly glad you turned up when you did. What I can't figure out is how you got in so quietly. My ears don't miss much, and I'll swear I never heard that front door open.
Well, of course you didn't. We've been here all the time.
Here, in this actual room?
Yes, behind those curtains.
Well, I'll be darned.
And what's more, we've a friend of yours. You can come out now, Mr. Freeman.
Hello there.
Why, Terry, I don't get all this.
Oh, it's all quite simply explained. When you didn't turn up this morning, I got a bit worried, so I phoned AAP, and they told me Paul Atkinson was in Malaya. Then I went round to the yard and gave the whole story to Inspector Marsh here.
And you figure there must be some dirty worker, huh, Inspector?
Well, it did seem that something odd was going on. And doubly odd when I rang the Argentine embassy and they denied all knowledge of Alvarez and Noritza. So the management let us in here while they were away. We were just about to announce ourselves and find out what was what when the doorbell rang and you came in.
So you figured you'd wait a while and see what happened, is that it?
Exactly.
I say.
What is it?
Just as well I'm not a crook, isn't it? I mean, if I tried to get away with the Bohemian Star instead of phoning the yard, I'd have found myself in a lovely jam, wouldn't I?
Yes, well, I shan't pretend we didn't suspect you for a while, Mr. Lime. But we know now that you're an honest man.
That's all right.
It's not everyone who'd risk his life the way you've done.
Oh, that's okay. Here, I guess you better take this stone, Inspector. I'll be glad to see the last of it.
Oh, thanks. Of course, you realize there'll be a reward.
Oh, no, please.
No, but my dear fellow, it's no more than you're entitled to. Don't you agree, Mr. Freeman?
Oh, certainly.
I'll see the matter's taken up with the Bohemian authorities, and you'll hear from them in due course.
Well, if you insist, though. After all, I was only doing my duty. And you know, Terry, I really did intend writing that story for you. I'm sorry I slipped up on it.
That's
Hope
okay.
you didn't get into too much trouble with your news editor.
Well, there was a bit of a row, but that's all right.
Oh, it will be, old man, it will be. Just wait till he sees the story you've got for him now.
And now, Harry Lime.
Right here, maybe I'd better hand in a little explanation. You're wondering what particular stroke of luck or lunacy led your old friend Harry to settle for just the reward, not to try for the diamond itself, at least while the going was good. Well, first of all, it was a very tidy little reward, and secondly, when I first came into that room, I just happened to notice the tip of what was unmistakably the shoe of a policeman sticking out under the curtains. Now, you may think that knowing I wasn't alone with a couple of crooks, that the realization that Scotland Yard was tuned in on our conversation had something to do with my decision to, shall we say, play it straight. That's what you may think. In fact, you'd be silly not to.
From September 7th, 1951, Orson Welles and the Lives of Harry Lime, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Attention Walmart shoppers. Now you can order one of the most advanced hearing aids on the market for hundreds, not thousands of dollars. Hearing Assist's most advanced product lineup includes models that use an exclusive app for enhanced control over what you want to hear. It's perfect if you have a smartphone or iPhone to hear everything better. And we have two great ways for you to get one. You can call the number at the end of this ad and order directly. Or you can call this same number and we will text you a complete list of Walmart Vision Center locations. We make it easy for you to hear better. Remember, call this number today to order and have a text message instantly sent to your phone to find the Walmart Vision Center near you. Here's that special number.
Call 800-360-0597. 800-360-0597. 800-360-0597. That's 800-360-0597.
So we have at least 2 people dead in this Curse of Kamashek Matter, but we should have a wind-up today. Part 5 of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Curse of Kamashek Matter, September 7th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Dr. St. Clair returning your call, Stinky.
Oh, hi, Leonard.
Where have you been, Johnny? It's been years.
Yeah, I know. Listen, can you give me a hand?
Who got poisoned this time?
2 of them. I hope it's poison, and that you can prove it for me.
We'll try. What do I do?
Meet me here at the home of Eric Turnbull in Stamford, Connecticut.
Okay, but Johnny...
Give you the address in a minute.
But Johnny, what do you mean you hope somebody got poisoned?
Because if they didn't, I'm going to go off my rocker.
What?
Because the only other possible cause of death could be a curse. The Curse of Kamashek.
Who?
An Egyptian king who died a couple of dozen centuries ago.
What?
Tonight, And every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Inter-Allied Life Insurance Company, Crutchfield Square, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Curse of Kamashek Matter. Expense account continued. I called Dr. Leonard St. Clair, an old school chum, because I knew him to be one of the foremost toxicologists in the country. And I was telling the truth. I hoped it could be shown that some kind of poison killed Donald Cronin and subsequently his uncle Eric Turnbull. Both apparently had believed in the curse of the old Egyptian pharaoh, a curse that was to befall anyone who violated his ancient tomb on the banks of the Nile. Donald had done this in excavating the tomb, but his uncle here in Stamford had only touched the bones that Donald had airmailed to him.
He was opening the package that Master Donald, God rest his soul, that Master Donald had sent him just before he died, there at the tomb in Egypt. I brought them in here to the library for him, sir.
Go on, Haskins.
Well, then you rang the doorbell. I left him with it, and when you and I came in here...
Yeah, dead.
From the curse of Kamashek, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, Haskins, I don't believe it. A friend of mine, Dr. St. Clair, will be here shortly, and he'll be able to...
Shouldn't we notify the police?
No,
sir?
Later.
But leave my poor employee's body just lying there?
For the time being, yes. Until Dr. St. Clair examines it.
Eh? As you wish, sir.
That's what I wish. Haskins. One person in this confusing mess I hadn't given a second thought to. As it turned out, there wasn't time, for Len St. Clair arrived a few minutes later in a car equipped like a miniature laboratory. No doubt as a result of the police work he was frequently called on to do. First, of course, in his capacity as an MD, he made a thorough examination of Eric Turnbull's body for purposes of death certificate data.
It was poison, all right, Johnny. I'm sure of it. At least as sure as I can be, short of making an autopsy.
But what kind of poison, Len? And how administered?
Well, at the risk of making it sound like a dime novel, I'd say it was an extremely rare,
Well, what? Come on.
Well, it's something I haven't heard of in years. Related to the old Indian arrow poison. It's very difficult to detect.
Can you make sure?
Yes, if you'll help me drag some of my equipment in from the car, including a cage of white mice.
What?
Yeah, on which to experiment with samples of the stuff.
Samples from those old bones out of the tomb?
That's right. Now, from what you've told me, only 2 people have touched the bones since the minute they were discovered in the tomb.
3. A native carrier, Donald Cronin, and now the late Eric Turnbull.
And they've all died. But, Johnny...
Yeah?
The poison I'm thinking of would hardly have been put on those bones in the time of the pharaohs. Oh, and by the way, I hope no one's touched them here.
No, I've left them just as they are in that mailing wrapper.
Good. Because it could be fatal. I'll carefully scrape them when we get the equipment in here.
We brought in what Len needed for his work, including the white mice. Then I closed him in the library and left him to his experiments. To a bit of research, too, for he'd brought in a couple of thick books on toxicology. As a matter of routine, I phoned the local coroner and then tried to reach Dorothy Harkness. Her number didn't answer. I was about to drive over to her little apartment when Len came out of the library.
I was right, Johnny. Curaba arsenium.
That the name of the stuff?
Uh-huh. In its powder form, absorbed into the pores of the skin, it could be fatal almost immediately. And listen to me.
Yeah?
Somehow, between the time the bones of that old king were discovered and the time that Donald Cronin touched them, somebody put that poison on him.
How? Without endangering himself?
By keeping it in aqueous solution until the bones were sprayed with it.
Sprayed with it? Wait a minute.
Yeah?
Sprayed with it, huh? A doctor, an Englishman who was on the expedition, told me that the bones had been sprayed with some kind of preservative, even before the native carrier touched them.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah, right. Instead of preservative, it was the poison.
Well, who sprayed them?
I've got a wild idea, Len. But if it's right, it'll sew up this whole case. I wonder who that is.
Well, while you're finding out, I'm going back and recheck these tests. But only as a matter of routine, because I'm sure I'm right.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Yeah, Haskins?
Miss Dorothy Harkness is here, sir.
Huh?
And her young brother, Walter. Shall I ask them in, sir?
By all
What
means.
a terrible thing that has happened.
Is that really the way you feel about it, Dorothy?
Yes, just what do you mean by that, Mr. Dollar?
I'm Walter Harkness.
Well, come right in, Walter. Because I have a sneaking suspicion you're the boy I've been looking for.
What?
Your conscience finally begin to hurt you? Would you like to sit down and write your confession now?
What are you talking about?
Or did you and Dorothy just come here to put on a front? You know, as a cover-up?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Johnny, what are you saying?
Sit down, both of you, because I'm going to be saying plenty.
Look here, Mr.
Sit
Dollar.
down, I said. Now sit down. All right, Dorothy, we'll begin with you.
Johnny, I don't understand.
Now
what
listen to
you
me. From what you told me, and I've no other reason for believing it except that you told me, Donald Cronin was in love with you.
It was true. And I
At
was
any
in love-
rate, he made you part beneficiary of his $100,000 life insurance policy. Half of it, I believe. A cool $50,000.
How can you say or even
Oh, be
think...
quiet.
Mr.
I'm
Dollar,
coming to you right now, Walter. You're working for the museum where your father is curator of archaeology. The museum that has depended quite a lot not only on Donald Cronin's scientific contributions, but his monetary help as well.
That may be true, but now look
The
here.
museum, the other beneficiary of Donald's insurance, also $50,000.
Mr. Dollar, if you're implying that I had anything to do with Donald's death
You
in
can
order
shut
to gain...
up, too, and let me talk. This is the first chance I've had to begin to tie this case up. The first time any of the crazy elements in it made sense. No, wait, tell me this. Eric Turnbull was opposed to Donald's interest in the museum, wasn't he?
Well, yes.
Sure. And I'll bet my bottom dollar that if something happened to both Donald and his uncle, the estate worth nearly $1 million was willed by Donald to the museum.
That's true, Johnny, but there's
No wonder Eric Turnbull was afraid for Donald's life. Because he knew who would ultimately benefit most by his death. No wonder he hated you, Dorothy.
Johnny! Oh, Johnny, you can't mean you think that I would...
No,
that I...
no. I think you were only being used as a tool, Dorothy. You told me yourself how your father opposed your marrying him. How his only interest was in getting money for the museum. Is that true, Walter?
Yes, Mr. Dollar, that is true. But if you mean to imply that I or any of us was involved in Donald's death...
Walter, the more I think about it, the more I'm sure you are, directly involved. Now sit down.
It's a lie. I swear to it, Mr. Dollar. You're wrong. It's a lie.
We'll see about that. Because there's one thing you may have overlooked. I know what killed Donald Cronin.
You do?
Oh, yes, Walter. Just as well as you do.
But I don't. I haven't the least...
The Curse of Kamashek?
The Curse
Johnny?
of Kamashek. Not by a long shot. Was it, Walter?
I told you I haven't the
All right,
slightest...
then tell me this. Immediately the pile of bones was found in Kamashek's tomb before anyone touched them.
I refuse to touch them,
Will you listen to me? Before anybody touched them, somebody sprayed those bones with a so-called preservative. And I mean so-called.
Well, I don't know why you should.
Oh?
Well, that's common practice these days, in case you don't know it, but I fail to see
What was supposed to be a preservative was in reality a deadly poison.
What?
Oh, come on now, Walter.
But you're wrong. You must be wrong. That's impossible.
You know, you're very convincing, I must admit.
Well, it's true. I applied that preservative, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Aqueous solution, wasn't it?
Of course.
And I'll bet you washed your hands very carefully immediately afterward, didn't you?
Yes, of course I did, because I was told to.
By whom?
By... Oh, no. No.
Walter? What is it?
Holy... Tell me, Walter. Walter!
Yes?
Do you know anything about a man who tried to intercept me on my way to Egypt? To make sure I didn't get there until the bones of the pharaoh were sent to Eric Turnbull and that Donald Cronin died?
No, I don't, believe me.
Then answer me this one. Did you make up the, we'll call it preservative, that you used over there?
No.
Then who did? And who told you to be sure to wash your hands immediately after using it? Well?
Walter! Oh, no!
I'm afraid so, Dorothy.
Oh, no!
Better tell me, Walter.
Beg your pardon, Mr. Dollar, but Mr. Harkness Sr. is here, too.
Mr. Dollar, I'm Adam Harkness, curator of archaeology at the museum.
Well, Mr. Harkness, I'm really glad to see you.
Dorothy, Walter. Mr. Dollar, I've come to pick up the bones from the grave of Kamashek that I understand Donald Cronin sent to his uncle instead of to me through some misunderstanding.
Oh, yeah, sure. I had a notion you'd want to pick up those bones, Dr. Harkness. And I'll give them to you on one condition.
Oh? What is that?
That you take them out of the package in which they arrived here with your bare hands. That you carry them out of this house, also in your bare hands.
Why, that's a strange...
Will you?
Of course not.
Why?
Why, because such priceless relics are too fragile,
Too full of a deadly poison that you had them sprayed with? Kuraba arsenium, I believe it's called.
I don't know what you're... Walter, what have you been telling us?
It's true, isn't it, Father?
Well, Dr. Harkness...
Daddy!
I don't know how you found out, Dollar, but I'll tell you this. You won't ever live.
Wait a minute, put that thing down.
Father!
Wait a minute!
Daddy!
Johnny?
You stopped him all right, Len. But I think he'll live.
Good. I knew all the police work I've been doing would come in handy sometime.
Thanks for barging in at the psychological moment.
I was only coming in to confirm the results of my tests. But I guess Dr. Harkness had already done it.
Yeah. So, I guess the museum will profit mightily from half the insurance and all of the estate of Donald Cronin. The museum, that is, without Dr. Adam Harkness. Expense account total, including transportation back to Hartford, $985. Remarks? Well, doesn't mean a thing, I know, but I kind of wonder what I might have found if I'd been assigned to investigate the deaths of the people who excavated some of those other old Egyptian tombs. Tombs that had a curse on them. Interesting thought, isn't it? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, a search for $80,000 that was never there, and a body that was never there. Yet both of them had to be found. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote this week's story. Heard in this week's cast were Paul Dubov, Alan Reed Sr., Dick Crenna, Virginia Gregg, Ben Wright, Forrest Lewis, Eric Snowden, Barney Phillips, James McCallion, and Les Tremaine. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
September 7th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. One has to wonder if that might have been part of the reason for these other ancient curses, maybe some sort of long-lasting rare poison like that. One never knows. We do know that if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a show here. You can find all of our shows on demand at classicradio.stream. At classicradio.stream, you can stream our shows, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can find a list of podcast applications where you can download the shows from. Find all our social media links, and then you can also buy me a copy. If you like what we do here, just use that Buy Me a Copy link, and that money goes to acquiring additional classic radio collections for us to bring to you here on this program. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.